Okay, folks, we're back. What's up, Ulf? Add on Steam. Yeah, I got back late yesterday. You already gone to sleep for several hours, but I'm gonna try to mess with something that I probably, if I had second thoughts of it, I should have thought about it earlier. So let me. Ooh. Oh man, I guess that is a good antenna location because it doesn't go over it. I'm going to try to tear this thing apart. I don't know if I'm going to be successful. Actually, I don't even know if this will do it. Let's even poke myself with that. And tearing this apart because I'm like, I have second thoughts about putting the track tension on here. If I draw blood, I'm done. Okay, so what does that hold together? I'm not even sure how this... That's the on and off switch. What can we pry with it? See if I can fuck this up. What's the front of this look like? I don't see a clip up here. However, I think I popped this up enough that I can get in there and do what I need to do. I think. Whoa, holy shit. What you doing? What you doing? Most asked question. I see a cog up there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, this is a compromise I'm going to do. I'm going to attempt to do the threading from here, and if I'm not successful, then I'm going to leave it alone. So let's go grab the wire and the drill bit. Drill bit's there. Let's go ahead and grab the wire. And if any of this copper is showing, I'm sure I can reach it and cover it up. Because we painted the road wheels, and that made it look better. I'm looking at it and I'm like, this should look better than it does. It should have looked better than it does. All right, I'm going to want it to go there, and that's probably the only place it even needs that done. So I don't know where the hell this connection point is. Should have thought about this before. I'd have done that. All right, here we go. So we need to put One there. And the other one there. All right. I think we'll be able to do this. I got to be positive about this. Yeah, I can quit at any time. It doesn't cost me anything other than time. But this Balkenkreuz that I painted behind that and we're going to need the tweezer. Is it up here? The behind that cable turned out really, really well. That was one thing I was kind of like, I don't know about this, Sarge. I got a bad feeling about it. Let's get this cord the hell out of here. Okay. Let's locate the hole. It's starting to split there. I need to be careful here. Oh, really? The place where this happened to be lined up is exactly where the link is between the two pieces. Okay, well, fuck you. Now it's not. What are the odds? I'm going to go play the lotto and I better win. Let's move this off to the side. Let's bring in one here. And I'm going to skip a link and go here. Okay. What's up? Yeah, people love the tiger. I'm not a tiger lover. I prefer the panther. Like, it's not even close. These self-sealing fuel tanks is a problem. All right, so let me pull this out so only a little bit is showing. It's a good thing this isn't the first one I'm doing like this, or I'd be like, man, F this. We've had a lot of success before doing these things, before we got around to doing this one. All right, now, We're going to feed this in. Is there any clearance there? There may not be much clearance. Garbage is no longer there. Come over here. Thank you. All right. We'll go to plan B. I'm afraid of flexing this more. I'm going to break it, and then we got a bigger problem. It doesn't need to roll or anything. I just don't want it to look broken. We're not doing a knocked out tiger. We're going to leave it be. Going to leave it be. We tried it. We gave it an old North American try. It's all right. I mean, I've spent probably 9 hours painting this, 10, maybe 10. Like, I don't want to throw that. I don't want to throw that in the garbage can. All right. So all we got to do then is we're going to paint this antenna, and we can move on to something else. Okay, let's take my own advice, and I'm not going to squeeze this thing out because I always make a mess with this. Something like that is just fine. Sometimes you just got to hedge your bets. Like, I was putting a whole lot of effort into that. I'm like, it's going to break in a way that's a problem. And it's probably did the right thing, not taking it apart initially either. I could have. There's I don't know how the hell this thing goes together, but right. All right, so short of that, I think this thing's ready to be sealed. I think this one's ready to be sealed. So I'm going to move her over here. Now, we started working on the truck. Oh, we're not screwing it back together. I already started working on a truck, but really this is what I need to work on to... Let's have a win. Let's have a win. Let's do a T-34-85. Let's do one of these Snow T-34-85s. And I'm going to put it on the suspension that's not all ganked up. And the error I made is I didn't put the barrels on here. I was so excited to go. I got tunnel vision. I got so excited to I guess I'm just having a hard time fucking talking today. I was so excited about painting that I lost track of that. Alright, so we're going to do some black lining. So I already have this black here. I'm going to go ahead and paint the machine guns and such. Now on the machine gun, all you should have is just a barrel, because everything else is like this armored sleeve that the DT machine gun goes in. Okay, and we'll get a little bit of orange. I might as well do the other one as well. F it. Anything on this one? Yep. This really thick 30 caliber machine gun. Of course, this is a Corgi toy. But it scales almost perfectly to 1/72nd scale. I'll go ahead and paint the shovel part here. There's a shovel hanging out over here. Got a handle. There's some kind of a bar there. I would like me to paint a bunch of some different stuff together. I like working on one vehicle at a time, but I think that's it. That's all the black stuff on there. All right, let's go back here and do some black lining. How are we doing on... it's the metallic. It's a little bit of Nuln oil. Did we end up killing this last little bit of Nuln oil? Nope. this one probably work just fine. Happy Monday. That's something you don't hear very often. We actually got some rain today. A fair amount of it. Oh, that's right. This has got one of these funky things you gotta like squeeze it out of there. Yeah, that makes a big difference as opposed to this that has hardly any contrast. We're just adding contrast. And you don't have to use this is acrylic, so we don't have the little white mineral spirits to wipe off. We just give it a dry brush, which you want to make it a little bit more whitish than it already is, and it straightens all that out just fine. You have to use mineral spirits and none of that nonsense. None of that stank. It's odorless mineral spirits. Okay. That's buying products I didn't already have. This is just using stuff I already had anyways. Go get a tea refill. I'll be right back. All right. It's already looking different. It's already looking different. Is this? Let me show you guys. Even if somebody's, I mean, look at the difference in the engine deck. It's freaking huge, and it's not that big of an ask. Are you an ask kisser? Not that big of an ask. You're just exaggerating shadows. And it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is mine. Because it may not be realistic. You'll look at this, actual tank with snow, and it'll be, won't have all these shadows in all these places. But it looks better than a realistic tank. And then what we do is we're gonna make a dry brush mix that is the same green with the white. So we're not gonna just dry brush completely stark white over it. We're going to do somewhere, and then we'll do a couple levels of dry brushing like that. You do 1/72nd scale planes, huh? I gotta finish my 109. That's crashed. But I think what I'm going to do, I think it's done. I need to seal it before I go any further with it. And I'm going to wait until a couple of these vehicles can be sealed and go out there and seal it all. Because you don't want to, fire everything up to just seal one thing. But yeah, 1/72nd scale is a scale for me for sure. I do have a couple planes to do. But they're really for scenarios. Except for that walrus. They're all for scenarios. They're, what do people call it? Scatter terrain. I really wanted to get a Westland Lysander because they use those a lot for like covert stuff. So that'd be good for like a supply drop for the resistance fighters. And now we're back to filming on the computer. We're doing it in vertical to get a little bit more exposure than we normally would do if we were just filming on the computer. And then I've got my phone to use to surf for stuff. I can go in there and I've got some T-34-85 markings that I'm going to paint on these two vehicles. And actually, what I do is I'll do what I call the drippings after I do all the white. After I get the white where I want it to, because you don't want to get like these drippings that look great and then you dry brush over it and like, oh great, they're gone. The whole point is for them to be seen. You don't need to do cleanup on that. You need cleanup on this a little bit. Because this is literally going everywhere there's a shadow of any kind. Yeah, I like 1/72nd scale. I don't like 1/48th. I don't. And this is an old model. I don't know when this thing came out. I would imagine it's probably the early 80s. I try looking at some of these old kits with instructions if they say what date they are. I guess I could probably find out on ScaleMates. But this thing's been around a long time. It's been around since I was a kid, so. And just in case you're keeping track of, this was $2 for the model. And I opened it up, and there was two models in there. One of them didn't come with any tracks, so we used some 1/72nd scale tracks from a T-34 on there and made those work. They look a little crude, but they're going to look fine once they're on a stand. I don't like just working on one area. I like to mix it up a little bit, because otherwise I get bored. especially if I'm just like in monologue mode. I don't have to worry about this paint peeling up other paint up or reactivating it or anything like that. This is inert water-based acrylic. And I wish it was thicker sometimes. I mean, I wish it gave you a darker wash sometimes, but if it's not dark enough for you, just go over it a second time, and it usually doesn't take a third. I was actually considering doing some modern aircraft, but I got nowhere to put this stuff. I mean, I've got 200 freaking tanks done, and hard pressed to find a place to put them. Hold on one second. All right. Let's make sure we don't have any residue on there so we can be in control. Yeah, it might have been too early. I might have just gotten on here too early, but this works out better for me to paint early and then stop by 9 for sure, because paint late in the evening when you've been up all day, just that doesn't really work out. You got to end up having a bunch of coffee in you to stay around, to stay motivated, and that's the last thing I need. Coffee in the end of the night. I mean, I'll still go to sleep. I'll just wake up every 2 hours. Okay, that's nice like that. Okay. Anytime there's a change of direction or anything like that, put a little bit of a shadow in there. There's little weld marks there. It is kind of cold. Let's turn this down a little bit. And this takes a while to do, but it's so worth it. Yeah, see, there's a subtle little weld mark on there. Let's look at this side. We've got everything here done. And I think what we'll do is we'll finish this one before we try to do both of them at the same time. So then you can see a contrast of this is what it looks like with the winter treatment and then one without. Well, we've done this before, so, and I've been really happy with how it turned out. So okay, this side's completely done. All right, let's do the back. Let's check the back. Everything is good there except for the inside of these cans. And actually, okay, that's good. Now over here, have all these like little hook loops, which is, well, we've got these cans to do. Okay, this side we have these little like hook loops. But we're almost done with the hull, and then we can move on to the turret. Okay. Little weld mark there. You've got T-34-85s that are winter painted. It's going to be winter 44-45. And these guys weren't really around yet, or even if there were some around, they would have had a different type of turret in 43-44. But this is really a 44-45 type thing. All right, I think we're ready for that. Now we'll go to the turret. And again, we're just adding extra shadows in there. You can tell the difference here. Night and day. And it's actually not very messy. By the time we clean it up, it'll be even less messy than that, but it's not very messy. And the whole dry brushing over it, I did that because I was doing camouflage before I had an airbrush. I'm like, you could paint something on there and then dry brush over it and it makes it look like it's been airbrushed even when it hasn't been. In my opinion, a fairly attractive looking vehicle. Just like everything Soviet, the most unattractive thing about it is that they just don't have they don't have markings on these things that are very interesting many times. And we got these like little ribs down here. We're almost done. Okay, so we've got all these shadows and so forth. All right, I'm going to be right back, and then we will go to the next step. All right. All right, folks. It's time to wake the F up. And also turn the fan down. Well, I got here and the house was a little on the warm side. I don't have a ceiling fan in this room. The only, not even a complaint. The one thing that's not perfect about this room, really. And that and the fact that it's not a tile floor. You got to put a protector on this. You just scratch the hell out of the. It's damn near plastic flooring, whatever the hell it is. I forget. It's got some kind of fancy acronym. All right. Yeah, we made some iced coffee. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to take a photo of this. Not for you guys, but for other people that ask me. What steps do you take? They always ask me. I'm like, I don't really want to write a long-winded how I do things. I don't mind giving away every single one of my secrets, but you can't be like, oh, I want you to tell me how it is because I don't have time to watch your video. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to give you, you don't have to. You don't have to pay for a Patreon or none of that stuff. I give it all fully away as I'm doing things for myself. But the catch is you can't create more work for me. It doesn't work that way. Now, asking me about questions about different things, looking things up on the internet, I don't mind all that stuff because it keeps me, engaged. But stop what you're doing and write down, all this other stuff. I'm like, no. So let's take a look at what the options are for markings on this particular vehicle. Now, I did take, this is the beauty of not filming on your phone, is I have the phone. Oh, let me take a look at one thing here. Let me go on my pictures. And let's see what we have in this T3485 model 1944. That's really what this is. And I took a picture of some markings of two vehicles that were white. And they're both from the 3rd Belarusian Front, East Prussia 1945, according to both of these. And they're inside the Dragon kit, the Dragon model. And both of these are whitewashed vehicles. Both of them with red markings on them. So let me go to ScaleMates. Yeah, they're in this model kit. Well, it looks like that. So we go to scalemates.com. A wonderful resource. Somehow my search thing is on with a white background. I don't like that. Somehow this got changed to. Where's my settings? Connections, mode, sounds, vibration, display. Okay. Dark mode, damn it. Okay. ScaleMates. 1/35th. Let's see if I could do this all in one shot. 1/35th. Dragon. T3485. And that'll take you right to this box. And then when we're on here, it tells you all the markings that come with this. And we're going to download the instructions. Let's see if we can get something that's a little bit clearer than that. Maybe I can't. Okay, here's the... This I already did a T-34 out of this set, apparently. So here's one that's in Belarus in 1944 for the 4th Guards Tank Brigade. It's actually 36, and it actually says Suvorov on it. I've hand-painted that one already. You want to take a look at it? Of course you do. And these are... it even comes with a figure. These are ones that are SHQ. They're in 1/72 scale, 1/76 scale as well. Of course, this is the green finish. And you're wondering, man, this isn't a very winterized looking vehicle. Well, when you put one that is not winterized, you can then tell that it definitely is. So this is the Suvorov marking. But this is all white metal. This weighs a lot. It's very, very heavy. And it's literally the same frickin' size. Now, there's some slight differences on here to get really retentive. This has a little dent here, an indentation here on the turret. Small. We have some welding things here that you normally would see, but it's basically the same vintage tank on both of them. So that's what I do. I just hand painted this based on the illustration. So I don't think I've used decals on any of these T-34-85s. It's easy. I think it's easy. Just takes desire and patience. So we're going to go down to these two white ones, and I don't quite know what the hell this says. So I'm going to, and these even have, like these, they have a little bump there on the side of the turret. It's like a little flat spot. So it's literally this exact vehicle. So I'm going to see if somehow there is a picture of one built that shows me what that decal looks like. Not that one. Is this one finished? It is not. Okay, that's no good. Here's some star decals, but they both have a brigade marking on them and some kind of marking on it. If you look at through Belarusian, white khaki, white, yeah, it doesn't even list on here what they have. Alright, so let me go ahead and do an image search with the same thing listed and see if somebody has one built. Of that particular model. There's a lot of models of T-34-85s. Okay, here's one that is the same turret. This is below a T-34-85, 61st Guards Tank Brigade, 10th Guards Tank Corps, Winter 44-45. The brigade insignia of all three brigades of the Corps were similar except for the number of dashes under the main insignia. The marking with one dash indicating the 61st Guards Tank Brigade. The tactical number is that of the 2nd Battalion. So let me zoom in on this a little bit. That's totally copyable for one of them. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of that. See if anything else comes up. And then we'll look in some T34 books. I want something more than just 3-digit number. You know, something a little bit more creativity. A JS3 is actually kind of a good looking tank, except it's not as big as it should be. I know it's practical to have a tank that's not very tall, but it's not very impressive. I like tanks that people can hide behind. Okay, I think I've gone far enough. So let me go to one of these that has the winterized vehicles. Let's see. Let's add winter to the search. No. Okay. So let's go and look at my reference materials, which I have a fair amount on 234-85s. And worst case scenario, I will do markings on that tank brigade. Similar, not at that exact same vehicle, but other ones like that. So, this is the 234-76 medium tank. We're not going to find it there. Let's look in. What do we have here? I have a Concord book here that's Soviet tanks in combat 41 through 45. Okay. This here. Armored battles on the Eastern Front. Here's one, Hungary, the Panzer's Last Stand. Might find something in that. That was all winterized. If it's super heavily on the Russians, then probably not going to see it there. I mean, super heavy on the Germans, probably not going to see it there. That book probably does not have any color stuff. Armor on the Eastern Front. Downfall of the Reich. Might have something in there. Let's just take a quick gander here. There's one, but it's not winter. Of course, I could just take that marking and just winterize it by doing it in red. With some of these Russian markings, I actually paint them neater than they do historically because they just look like shit. You don't want like, hey, these are hand painting markings. I'm like, man, you don't hand paint very well. I'm like, no, the original one's supposed to look crappy. Yeah, that's what they all say. I, I don't want to get into that. Like this, if you painted this, it actually looked kind of cool. If you painted this whitewash on this SU-76, it looks like chicken scratching. And that's actually not too bad a one. There's some that look really bad. Some winterized. Didn't really find anything there. We got anything? Oh, cool. Some of these late war Soviet plays. These yaks are beautiful. The colors on those. Oh. Operation Sudvind. No, nothing jumps out at me, anyways. Dude, give me some winterized vehicles. But ones that don't look like that. That's terrible. Okay, here's two of them. And this might actually be what these are based on. Here's two of them right here. What's up, Victor? That's what we're going to do. We're going to do those two. But it has a bunch of Cyrillic writing on it. Exactly. It's perfect. That's what we want. What's up, man? I know you're not. Your name's not Angela. You're not fooling me. What's up, man? How you been? Okay, so we've got two vehicles here. So this is what I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to do this symbol. And actually, there's an alternative here. This is, I guess, B23, and that's B24. So I want to do it all in red. This is a T-34-85 Tank Brigade, 3rd Belarusian Front. Well, that's what those instructions were. East Prussia, January 1945. And it has the right turret, the little flat spot on the turret and everything. This tank was bought by an Estonian committee and named after the Estonian national hero Lembitu, a 13th century warrior who fought against the Teutonic Knights. The overall finish is a scruffy whitewash. Well, mine looks better than scruffy. Over the usual dark green finish, the markings consist of the name Lembitu written in Cyrillic script and tactical insignia. The tactical marking is essentially similar to that on the above plate, a bisected diamond with the Cyrillic V over the vehicle tactical number 23. So, okay. Well, that's what we're going to do. Lembitu. And then this other one, which will be the other T-34 that we've got. 3rd Belarusian Front, also January 45. Oh, this has B-22 on it. This tank, commanded by Senior Sergeant Ostryakov, is painted in overall whitewash over the usual dark green finish. The slogan on the side of the tank is Za Generala Bagramiana. For General Bagramian. Bagramian was the famous Soviet marshal who commanded the 3rd Belarusian Front in 1945 during the East Prussia operations. The divided diamond was a common tactical symbol on tanks due to its relation to a smaller insignia used to represent tanks on Soviet military maps. In this case, the upper half carries a Russian V, probably indicating the 3rd company. V is the 3rd letter in the Russian alphabet, while 22 below is the vehicle tactical number. This particular vehicle had the tactical markings on a patch of the base dark green color. In the case of other tanks of this unit, the insignia was painted in red over whitewash, as is shown in the inset drawing here. Okay, so this is the two vehicles that we're going to do. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photograph of it, and that way I can put it up here and not be glancing down at it. Make sure it looks okay. Good. Now we can send this off somewhere else. Now some of these like specially marked tanks, the Soviet tanks, they'll have a whole brigade that has exactly the same markings on them. There's one of the tanks that I have is a T-34-76, and it has a whole litany of stuff written on the side of it. Let's see if I can find it here relatively easily. And what that litany is saying is for Soviet Moldova or whatever. And it's really, really long. I don't want to look for it right now. But, every tank in the brigade actually had that writing on it. Like, okay, well, that's annoying. That's, talking about taking away your individuality. Anime Lord, welcome. You still remember, yes, I don't do drugs. Only caffeine. Okay. So this is the one for the Estonian hero, whatever his name is. Whatever its name is. There's black here, isn't there? Yeah, we can do red. Let me grab some red. Nope, not vermilion. Red. Actually, before I do the red, here's flat red. Before I do the red, let's give this thing a dry brush coating of the mix. Well, where is that going to fall on here? Not that one, the previous one. Thank you. It's going to be up here. Okay, it's relatively small. I mean, you know, it's not too small here, but let's go ahead and give this thing a coating of the whitewash. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our Russian uniform. Let's not flip this thing upside down. We got some wet stuff in there. Let's take another one of these tops. And we'll need this to dry brush it on top of. And we've got our whitewash, or I really could use white paint. I don't know why I'm using this whitewash stuff because I don't need to. It's meant so that you could actually apply the whitewash, then come with a wet brush and like streak some of it off. This is the base color the entire tank was in at one point. And this is the washable white, which is what it got oversprayed in. But white paint would work the same for what I'm going to use it for. And let me get a dry brush that has not been violated. Or one that's at least relatively clean. Cleanish, like this one. All right, and we're going to and we like to test it on the running gear, especially like maybe down here at the bottom. We're going to go over the tread pattern here on the tracks. So just like if we were painting, we're going to start with the darkest color. Okay, we're going to dry brush over this, but it's going to be a little bit lighter. We start with the darkest and work our way up. And I don't know what we're doing, maybe 50-50, 50-50 of the green and 50-50 of the white. Okay. Because it didn't come out of the factory painted white. Now, let's pull this off. And let's get almost all of this off. And I'm holding it sideways because I just want to go barely over and just catch all the raised portions of this. These little edges, I want to hit them, you know, any raised parts. Edges there, edge there. You know, in other words, we're not dry brushing pure white. We're adding some other levels in there. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of that green and add more white than I did last time. And it's almost like looks dirty. So that's the thing about dry brushing. Dry brushing is really awesome, but don't go with just dry brush one color. It's just not going to look believable. And don't put too much on the paintbrush because then you got to go back and fix things. Now, with that said, you could do a sloppy job and it might actually look realistic because they painted these things really poorly. Okay, now I'm not going to clean this brush, but I'm going to use only white. Let's put a little bit more of this down here. And honestly, I think the snow vehicles look better than the regular vehicles. Because a lot of the pictures you see of snow vehicles, they honestly look like shit. Like they do a crap job painting them. Like in real life, in a 1-to-1 scale, you know, like the real one. Now, let's pull one out. It's pretty much what we're looking for. Doesn't have to look exactly like this. Of course, there's some other drippings in here. You know, we got some rust spots and stuff like that. We're going to do all that on here. But this is the point where we're going to do the writing of the decals on here. And we have to put an antenna up there too. The antenna goes up here in front of beside the periscope, so to speak. All right, so let's rinse this thing off. This is about where we want it to be. All right, let's get a paintbrush that's going to take us all the way here. And what we're going to do is we want red writing. But we're going to make a color that's darker, so that way it's kind of, it stands out from the background. Okay, so we're going to need some red here. We're going to need the mandatory black. See if I can get away with this. Be very careful, and I don't want to clip that and get any on my finger. Just one little, just a little smudge. There you go. We don't need much. Okay. And then a little bit of water here. Just a little bit. All right, now let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's look at this photo. Oh, you wanting a twist on me? Okay, well this one was This one was B23. What was the other one? Was it B24? B24. Okay. Well, that's the hard part, is to put that number in there and make it legible. So I'm probably going to make that brigade marking bigger than it's supposed to be, just so we can, it's noticeable. So we're going to go ahead and remove the turret, so it's easier to manipulate. We're going to let's see how oh, okay, that works. We don't even have to use any stickum. That works, so we don't smudge what we're doing on there. And let's mix a negative marking. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the diamond. Okay. And the diamond's somewhere in here. I'm going to make it definitely not smaller than it's supposed to be, because I want to be able to read that number in there. So we're going to go, let's put some parameters in there. We're going to put it here. It's going to go from here to here. To here, to there. All right. Now we're going to make sure we've gotten good flow, and pull the line towards us. Now, I don't know if I like that. It might be a little too shallow, but we're going to roll with it and see what we can come up with. Before I close this thing off, I'm going to go ahead and put the number in. Okay, we'll put a 24 in there. And then we'll put I'm gonna have to clean that up. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We still have the paint here. All right. I'm going to leave the bottom of the 24. I'm just going to change this line right here. And when we dry brush over that lightly, that's all going to disappear. Now I'm going to move over to the other side because this paint's very wet. It's very watery. Or if I wait long enough, it'll be done. I don't have mistakes very often. It's not a big deal. It's a relatively easy fix. So the corner ended up being there. I'm going to go up a little bit higher on this one. We're going to connect here. We're going to connect there. And now we got a little bit more space to put that B in there. It's really a V, but it looks like a uppercase B. As in Bolshevik. Okay. Got that little marking on there. And we're gonna clean that up using a brighter red too. We got everything framed how we want it to. Easy fix. Okay, this has 7 characters. So I want to put the one in the middle first. That's going to be the pace car, so to speak, of it. And then roll into a backwards N. A T and a Y. Okay, a T is going to be just the vertical. And the Y is going to be so I forgot to mention, I like doing just the vertical pieces first so that it's easier to get the spacing right on it. Okay, and on this side, it actually looks like an M. Huh. Okay, so that's 2 vertical lines. Okay, and on the other side is an E. So we just put the vertical part of the E. Otherwise you end up making the legs too long. And then like the lambda. Okay, now we'll do all the cross pieces that go in there. Now, I'm going to take a photo of this. And we're going to zoom in on it. This is actually what I enjoy doing more than anything else. And remember, we haven't cleaned this up at all. I thought I took a photo of it in the book. Let's edit this. I'm gonna rotate it sideways. Okay, so this is what we're trying to replicate. And this is what we did. And we haven't cleaned it up at all. And I don't know that it needs any cleaning up. We just need to go in there and, I don't even know. It almost looks like Almighty or something like that. Okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lighten up this. I'm actually gonna go to the other side, make it the same, and then we'll come in and we'll go up like one level with the red, make it a little bit more red. Yeah, I like doing this more than anything else. You know, and you don't have to worry about finding the decal, ordering, paying the shipping on the decal not sitting exactly how you want it, and then it you're literally hand painting it just like they would on the roll tank. I gotta go to little boy's room for a moment, and I'll be right back. Okay. It's 8 o'clock and I haven't even had dinner. Well, we're going to finish this. At least this stage. So I actually, like I've said before, and we need to put the little quotation marks. So let's go ahead and do that now. I like doing the Americans and the Russians the best. Because, let's face it, they're fucking boring. They're going to be green. They're like mandatory green. So like, all right, well, how can you make these things look interesting? Because it's like, it's easy to make the German stuff interesting with all their camouflage schemes and stuff like that. Okay. Now let's do the same thing over here. It didn't have to be exactly the same. These are hand painted. In other words, trying to get it as close as you can is good enough. If I wanted to paint it correctly, I'd have to get super drunk and then paint it. You saying all Russian communists were drunk in a tank? Yep. that's what I'm saying. Were there any teetotaler Russians? I wouldn't put any money on it. Maybe, but I wouldn't put any money on it. You got to stay drunk to not, be miserable and a communist. Not be so miserable. All right. So we're going to put the top of it there. Let's make it a little bit taller than we did on the other side. Because that ended up being an issue. There. Then we're going to go here. Going to go there. The whole point in when you're hand painting stuff is you got to make sure you get your parameters in the right place. If you're doing a shield, and I learned this on my own doing medieval shields. I'm like, I want an eagle. Well, the last thing you want to do is paint this awesome eagle and then it's freaking off center. Like, son of a bitch. So you need to get everything in the right place, break it down in some basic steps. Like, okay, this wing tip of this eagle will start here, it'll go here, it'll end up here, the claws at the bottom are in this. Get everything in the right place and then fill it in with basic shapes. And you can make sure you don't want something that's beautiful and then it's like off center. Especially like if you got like a lion rampant. The lion that's standing up, with its claws out. Stuff like that. You got to get it all balanced. Or you spend all this effort doing it and you're like pissed off because you got to do it all over again. So I learned that really quick. So same thing with this. Make sure you get all your parameters. And let's do this diamond. All right, same thing. We're going to go ahead and put that 24 in there. Just like if you're going to draw somebody's a face, you know how they go to drawing class, make an oval, put the line for the eyes, all that crap. It's important. Here's the 24. And then we'll put a B at the top. And now we're back to doing whatever this guy's name is. And you've done a good job when you write something in Arabic and you don't even know what the hell it is. And then you get somebody that does speak Arabic and they can read it. Or, Russian or what have you. That's when you've done a good job. I got one of my 234-85s. I wanted to call it Tiger Tamer. This is one of the tanks that's in Call of Duty World War II. Is that what it is? When you're playing, there's one part of the game where you end up playing a T-34 platoon, where you play one tank. There's other of them around, and when you aim on your friendly tanks, instead of it, giving, this is so and so, it literally tells you what the nickname of each tank is. It's pretty freaking cool. So one of them was called Tiger Tamer. Of course, it's in Russian, but it's not actually physically painted on the tank, right? It's just like when you aim at it, it says that's so and so. So I went and found out what Tiger Tamer was in Russian and painted that on the side of the tank. And I had somebody come by that came by that knew how to read Russian, and like, what? I was just showing my stuff. It's like, why does that say Tiger Tamer on it? I'm like, damn, I guess I did a good job. Thank you. Okay. We're going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm going to start from the side closest to the triangle because I don't want to run out of space. It almost happened here. So I'm actually going to start with a Y, but I'm only going to do the verticals. And the reason why I don't only do the verticals is because if you make an E and you put a straight line and then you put the legs, you end up invariably making the legs way too long, and it throws off, let's call it the meter of everything else. So I just come in and just do the verticals for spacing. I want to do it right as close as I can the first time. I don't want to waste my time and have to do it a second time. So the Y is going to be like where this N is, or the lambda. So it's kind of close. That's where we're going to go ahead and put the Y first. Okay, so I will do the curved part of the Y. And how far is it from the roof? Okay. We need a little bit more. And this is just water, Vallejo red, and craft paint. Black craft paint. Okay, that's the Y. I might have a little bit more red, so it's a similar color to the other side. Even though we're going to highlight them both, okay? Then we have a T. Not worried about the crossbar on the T. I'm just going to put the vertical of the T. Like so. We need to thin this a little bit more so we get better flow so it doesn't catch. Okay? Next one is kind of that backwards N. Okay? Then we have that like number 7 with a B, with a big fat belly, with a pregnant belly. Okay? And then an actual M, or something that looks like an actual M. An E, and then a lambda. And we actually went farther than we wanted to, but it'll be fine. It's imperfect the way these drunkards painted this thing anyways. Okay, so let's fill in the other stuff. So we got a T. Fill in the crossbar. That's that N. Now this is supposed to represent a grab handle. For, as said, for the Panzer Grenadiers. No, for the riflemen that are riding on there. For the tank riders. Okay, now we're going to come in and we're going to darken this. And then we'll do the same thing with this diamond. That looks pretty fucking good. And we're not even done yet, because we still got drippings and shit to do. Drippings and shit. But I'm going to break. I'm going to break for lunch for tonight. I mean, not for lunch, but I'm going to break for dinner. But it's pretty dramatic. And we're not even done with all that stuff yet. But if you can compare what this, all the pre-shading, I guess that's what some people call it, pre-shading. It's pretty dramatic. So, yeah, got to make all the little wheel stuff, things stand out, so forth. But anyhow, this is where we're going to pick up. I don't think we're going to paint any more today. We'll pick up in the morning, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya, folks.